Hello, I'm Dr. Tricia Seymour, and this is
Dr. Rusty Barrier once again. Welcome again to Entelechea. And Tricia, what are we talking about tonight?
well, last time we talked about our oneness experiences and our ability or the fact that we went to Source. And some of you may call Source by different names: God, Goddess, Brahman, what else?
Krishna.
The all that is, Krishna.
Tankashala.
Yeah. So our experiences are that we went and merged with that essence, that source energy. And so we shared a little bit about that last time.
Mm-hmm.
But what I see is a lot of people have a hard time really understanding oneness and also how to live knowing about oneness versus duality. How do you live from that space? So,
yeah, it's sort of the old adage and joke at the same time. Before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. The same is true with any visit to oneness. Yes, it's wonderful, it's great, it connects you to that essence of all that is. You know that you are a part of that. And there's a lot of anxiety and stuff that goes away, but it still leaves you here in this dimension, day in, day out, trying to figure out, how do I play this game of life when I know it's not all there is? So, how do you play the game of life?
well, and I think that is part of the discourse that happens in your head is, if everything is an illusion, if this table isn't real, if this chair isn't real, if my body isn't real, if what I really am is Source having an experience, why does it matter, right?
Right.
Why does it matter what I do or don't do? And I think that's kind of been the human condition all along, is we've struggled with, once you've been to oneness, why does it matter what you do living here in the physical?
Good question. Why does it matter?
Maybe it doesn't.
It probably doesn't. I mean, I want you to consider, we all, and there's huge industries that have been formed on what's your mission, what's your purpose, how do you get to that? I'd like to ask you a simple question to entertain. Obviously, you're not going to answer it tonight. We might not. We won't tell you that one. But what if there is no mission? What if there is no purpose? How would you live your life knowing that this is nothing more than a simulation that's playing out, that this thing we call a body, our body over here, is simply an avatar inside the game, just as is the chair you're sitting in, the clothes you're wearing is part of an avatar, the other people you see are other avatars, the cat, the dog, the rock, those are all avatars to a certain extent, but they're all just objects inside of a simulation, inside of a game that seems very, very real. You know, there's a statement that says, as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without, as without, so within. Okay? Notice the combination in all of that. Right? As we're going through this process and beginning to recognize, and that's what oneness does, is it lets you really understand what's happening up here is happening here. It's all a reflection. It's all a part of the same thing. And there are some rules that go with that game. And what might those be?
Well, actually, I was going to go back to what you were saying. So I like stories. So imagine the story, and I'm going to call it a creation story, because I think they're all just guesses on what really happened, right? The Big Bang, what really took place. And so imagine that you walk outside, pitch dark, out in the country, and you light a flashlight, and you shine it up in the sky. The interesting thing is, you will not see the light. It will actually be dark. There won't be a light unless it reflects off something like dust particles.
Or moisture.
Or moisture or something in the air. If you shine your flashlight, you go out tonight outside, you turn a flashlight on, you shine it up, if there is nothing for it to reflect on, there will be no light up here. You can't see it. You can look and go, yeah, it's on, but there's nothing showing.
If you want a different example of that you can also do on your own, light a candle and then notice what shows a shadow. The candlestick will show a shadow. The flame has no shadow. The only time we recognize light is in reflection. The only reflection we have in the game of life is the other people around us, the other objects around us reflect the light that we are. We're simply seeing source everywhere we look.
So, long time ago, source and energy, everything, the all that is, decided, again, this is mythology, decided that it, not a he or she, not a mom or dad, it wanted to understand its self. So it literally took a part of itself and separated it and created source and object. So like a mirror, it could see itself and see what itself was like. And as you said, the reflection off, it could reflect back to it what it was. So this being was exactly like this being, literally a piece of it, separate so it could see itself. If you go to your kitchen, a knife can't see itself and know itself, right? You can know a knife because it's separate from you. So you have to be separate. So at that point, again, in my story, let me go back to my story. So long ago, source wanted to know itself. So it took a piece of itself and separated it, identical, so it could reflect and see itself. Well, one day, this piece said, but I want to be like you. I want to separate a piece of myself so I can also be a creator, and I can also create all like you, all that is, and I can create and see myself. And source said, sure. And so this piece then split off and created another piece, and then another piece, and another piece. And all of that to say that we are all parts of the whole. We're all parts of source. We are not different than God, Goddess, the Atman, Brahman. And as we separated and we had more little pieces that wanted to explore themselves, then I move into the analogy of the video game.
Okay.
The illusion. So again, what's interesting is if you were to look at this angle, you would see these separate sources all reflecting each other. If you looked at this angle, perception makes a huge difference. If you look down at what was happening there, they're all still in the bubble of source. They never left. We're all still in the Garden of Eden. We never left.
Matter of fact, the only thing that's looking down is source.
So
which is also looking up.
It gets a little confusing, I know, but let's use the analogy of a video game.
Yeah.
So I know you've all seen and heard the movie The Matrix and how it's all not real and they could move in the Matrix and make things happen in the Matrix. I don't believe that our bodies are someplace in some storage unit being used as anything, but the concept of the Matrix movie where everything is an illusion. I remember the guy making the statement that he was back in the the Matrix.
I know this steak isn't real, but it sure does taste good.
Right.
That one?
Yep.
Yes.
And to realize that we are in the video game. We are participants in something that is for fun. Now, a lot of you would say, but my life isn't fun. And there is a difference, which we probably won't get into the details today, between pain and suffering. Pain is inevitable. We all have that because we're here experiencing the video game. It happens, you know, you blow somebody's head off in a video game or you fall or trip over something in a video game. It happens. But suffering is optional. Suffering is an emotional state, and that's the part that's optional.
I'm actually going to go a little further than that on suffering. That pain, as you said, is inevitable. It happens in the human body in the 3D. Suffering is actually a mental activity, i.e. you have a thought or a judgment about what's happening to you or happened to someone you know, and it creates the suffering rather than simply accepting what is as what is. And when we hear people talk about be in the here and the now, be present, that's what it is. It's about simply accepting this is what is. Today I have a pain in my shoulder, right? It's a pain in the shoulder, right? Do I need to stretch? Okay, let's stretch. Let's get that muscle loosened, and we're good to go. Or I can go, oh, I've got a pain in my shoulder. Boy, this is the pits. Life's awful. Why is this happening to me? All right? That's suffering. We create our own suffering. We have to watch our thoughts in order to move beyond that.
Yeah. And so if it is a game and you're playing the different levels, a couple things. One is, as long as you're in the game, you might as well find a way to enjoy it. You know? What can you do that would be pleasant? What could you do that would be fun? What could make your life better? Maybe stretching your arms so it doesn't hurt. So there are things and actions that you can do that actually make the game more enjoyable. And
You mean like learning how it works?
that would be part of it. You probably need to know that. And learning how it works is a number of different things. Some people read books, some people take classes, some people wake up and go, ooh, I didn't know that it existed. Some people find gurus or teachers. There's lots of ways.
Because some people just stumble through the cow pasture until they landed enough of it and figure it out.
Don't do that again. But what's important to know, though, is that if somebody's on the 100th and umpteenth level of the game, and you're on level 1, it doesn't mean they're better than you. It just means maybe they've been doing the game longer. Maybe they've figured out the tricks and the doors and the ways to get through. Or they found the magic key behind the chest. You know, they've found their way through the levels, and you're just getting started on the levels.
One of the other interesting things, if you look at it as a video game, is in video games there's always distractions to keep you from your goal. All right? And a lot of times in life, those distractions we think are very, very important. Right? I'll give an example from a game that I play. It's a simple little match 3 game, so it's not really the most complicated thing. But they'll say, oh, here's what you have to get. You have to get 12 of these little critters, right? And then this game's over. That's all you have to accomplish. But by the way, we're going to throw out here, you know, if you go over here, you can get rid of these little blocks, or you can go over here. And it's very easy to get playing on other things and forget, oh, I've got this. What's my goal? I heard someone once, a long time ago, make the statement that all it takes to be successful is discipline, and all that discipline is remembering what you want. Okay? So in the game, don't get distracted. Don't let the drama, the psychodrama of what's happening in someone else's life that you really don't know what's going on with them, you're going to make it up anyway, distract you from what it is. What is your goal? What are you working on in your life? Is it peace? Is it joy? Is it happiness? Hey, maybe you want to be angry today. That's okay too. But it's up to you to decide how you want to play this game at any given moment.
Right. And, you know, I'm sure you all know somebody who was down a particular path, maybe a job or a relationship or something, and they thought that was the way. And all of a sudden they, I'll call it woke up, but what I mean is that they realized there's more to life, or there's something different that they'd rather be doing, or that they're just doing it because it's what they've always done and not really what's in their heart. And so one of the parts of this game is to find what's in your heart. What is it that you want to be doing? You may be able to do it as a career, you may do it as a hobby, lots of people do it different ways, but to find fulfillment as you move through the levels of the game.
And you touched on something very important, and we've spoken about this before, that the longest journey you'll ever take in your life is 18 inches from head to heart, right? As Tricia just said, find out what makes your heart happy in the game and do that. If you are interacting with someone and all it's creating is stress, and you feel that center in your body, that heart center starting to tighten, you may want to take a deep breath and realize that's not the person that needs to be present in your life at this moment, right? It may be something that you have, an organization that you've been a part of for decades, and suddenly you become aware that what's going on in that organization no longer supports who you are or what you're trying to accomplish with your life in this game.
So throughout these talks, we hope to give you some very specifics, but this particular one, we kind of just wanted to give out, maybe lay out more of a general concept of the video game, the concept that if it is all illusion, can you create what you really want? Do you have to go this way, or do you have choices? And what does that mean, and what does that look like? So to kind of give you just some thoughts and some food for thought, maybe.
Okay.
Along those ways. No, I just did.
Oh, you did? Oh, okay.
That's what I just did.
Oh, you're just
What
looking
we're
at me. You'd like me to finish this. Okay.
That's what we've been doing.
Yes. Creating your reality. Now, I actually, there's a quote from Richard Bach, and any of you who know me well know that I absolutely love anything Richard Bach wrote. One of the true eye-opening books in my life, at somewhere around 13 or 14, was his book, Jonathan Livingston Seagull. Yep. But this happens to come from his book, Illusions. And basically what he said is, your thoughts create the illusion you call reality. So please hear that again. You hear all these metaphysical speakers, all these New Age speakers say, you create your reality. Your thoughts create your reality. No, Bach is right. They create the illusion that you call reality. When you realize that even what you're calling reality is still an illusion, and the reason we can say that all of this is an illusion, and sages throughout the millennia have told us, everything out here is Maya. It is illusion. It is not real. Quantum physics is now telling you, as Tricia said, this looks solid, but if you go to the quantum level, it's 99.999% empty space. There is nothing solid here. But it appears that way. So in that illusion, you have the ability to create how you perceive what's out here. And what's in here, it's your perception.
Right. Our perception makes a huge difference.
Yes, it does. But it makes the only difference.
Yeah, interesting. So, again, I think people do get the wrong idea about creating their reality. Another thought came to mind, and I know I won't quote it right, from A Course in Miracles about the confused mind.
Simplicity is next to impossible for a confused mind to comprehend. You can tell it's a favorite quote of mine. And because my mind's generally confused on any given day. I won't limit that to me, though. I think all of us are confused most days because we forget that we're creating the illusion that we're calling reality.
Well, and I think that a lot of people like the confusion.
Well, they do. They don't have to be responsible.
Well, I hear people talk, and they go off to this level of this one and this thing and over here, and as you said, some distractions over here, and this issue and that issue, and they're all over the board, and they're not very centered. And I think that goes back to not being in the now.
Well, and I'm going to step back a second. Trish, where does this entire game exist? In oneness or duality?
Well, I think the game exists in oneness as a version being played out.
Okay.
And you?
I think it's both.
Okay.
It's sourced from oneness, but the game itself, because there is, remember we've said this before, there is a subject and an object being perceived, that has to be duality. So when we're in the, I'm going to say this, and some of you may want to slap me, but here's the deal, folks. When we're truly in oneness, you're in no thing. You're in no thingness. There is simply nothing there. All right? There is no thought. There is no sound. There is no thing except one, love. That's what you feel. That's the sense you have when you've gone to oneness, is true unconditional love. But In duality, we have thingness. Okay? This thing, that thing, anything.
Our confused minds have created a lot of things.
Right. So with the things, we have the ability to perceive them how we choose to perceive them. Right? Can you give me an example of that?
I don't know. I don't know. Perceiving things.
All right.
Oh, like driving in traffic. So you could be driving in traffic and someone cuts you off, and you might have the perception that they're just rude, awful, terrible, how dare they, you know, they mustn't like me, or they're being mean to me, or whatever. And the truth is, they may have been on their cell phone and never even saw your car. So your perception of what took place versus what their perception of what took place might be completely different. They may have thought they were just changing lanes as they were texting or yelling at the kid in the back seat. They didn't see you. And I find that very often in traffic is that you can take it personally if you want to, but it probably has nothing to do with you.
And ladies and gentlemen, there is a very basic rule for the game of life. It's not personal. It's really not about you. It's just what's playing out, and you happen to be watching it, right? Remember, I know this steak isn't real, but it really tastes good. Right. Okay.
I do think
Good
though.
example.
Yeah, I do think though, because we don't remember. Even those of us who have had oneness experiences don't always remember source and that we're a part of source. And so when we forget that, we do take things personally.
We do.
And we think it is about us. And it's about recentering, getting back. And now is not a time.
Yeah, now is no time.
It's not a time. Now it's time for dinner. Now is not what we're talking about. We're talking about the concept of being fully present. And when you're fully present, you are aware that, as you said, it's not about you. When you have a relationship with someone and they're getting angry at you, it's probably more about what's going on inside of them and less about what you said or did. Now, you need to take your own responsibility for what you said or did, but again, perception between the two characters in the game. Perception between you and the person driving on the freeway. Two characters in the game. And determining and deciding what part is yours and what part isn't yours, and making that distinction.
And the other part of that is, if you really want to pay attention and learn this game, pay attention to nature, right? I love nature, as I said before. It sends me to oneness. It calms me instantaneously. But think of a big, beautiful tree and a squirrel with his little claws climbing up that tree. It's going to knock some bark loose. It's going to put some scrape. Do you think that tree is going, well, that stupid squirrel, how dare it decide to climb me and hurt me? Right?
You might.
No, but the tree cares. The tree just assumes there's a squirrel going up here. Oh, it's going to build a nest now. Right? That's one of the other parts of the game of life. Remember, it's just stuff that's happening. You may be present, and by the way, when I say you may be present, I'm not actually talking about your body. I'm talking about you, the being that uses this body as a vehicle. It uses these eyes to perceive this area, this perception. It's not happening to you. It is happening, and you are simply observing that occurrence. Now, what that does for you is it allows you to take a step back. When you step back, you begin to see things differently. If it's about me, if it's an attack on me, I feel the need to defend, right? Now, I'll be honest, I am, in this lifetime, a Scorpio. So when I go into defense mode, you probably want to step back, but if you want to keep your head on your shoulders. Because I will defend well.
As I said, we do sometimes forget that it's just a game, right? That's just part of it, I think.
I'm even going to tell you that it is, once you really understand the gaming part of it, that it is gaming, that you begin to understand, even if you get angry, maybe you just enjoy that adrenaline rush of the anger in the moment. Identify that within yourself. If that's what's playing out, let it go. Right? But it's a game. If I want to go hug someone, I can go hug someone. If they want to slap me for it, they can slap me for it. All right? That's just the game. It's how it's playing out.
Yeah, those are interesting examples, but yes.
Hey,
Never a dull moment.
I'm not dull.
So really, the whole thing today, we just wanted to take it another step and to say that even though we've been to oneness, even though we've had those source experiences and we remember them and we carry them with us every day, it allows us to see what's really, what really is not the right word, to playing out, to see what's playing out in front of us and to identify it from a position of the video game or a position of it's not about me. And when you're able to take yourself away from that, take yourself out of the drama, watch what plays out and happens, take a deep breath, get centered, then it allows you to visit the game and not get stuck on a level of the game.
You just realize it's a game. And suddenly a lot of the charge comes off of it because it is a game. And ladies and gentlemen, life is a video game. It's a full immersion virtual reality video game. These are our avatars. That's it.
So don't take it so seriously.
Don't take it seriously.
And don't take it personally.
The only way your avatar is going to get out of that game is to die.
Right.
How can you take any game if that's the only way to win seriously?
That's a good point. On that note, thank you so much for joining us again, and stay tuned next week, and we will cover more different subjects.
We'll see how we can confuse you next week.
We'll see how we can confuse you more. Thank you very much.